folks, welcome to Spooky Appalachia. You may have noticed things are a little different this week. There's no background video playing. I'm on camera with a special guest, Ron. He's my buddy from Wild and Weird. I share them out all the time. I've been good friends with Ron and Joe for a good while. Hey, Ron.
Hey, bud. How's it going?
Great. You?
Oh, cold but good.
Yeah, we talked about that before. Yeah, it's woke up at 5 a.m. It was 8 degrees. The dog walked out the doggy door, stood there, turned around, and just gave me a look, and then he walked right back.
I mean, if dogs are, they're as smart as they are, they're trying to tell you something. That's all I can say about that.
He said he's not going out in that.
Nope.
Snow, too. You guys got snow, too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we got snow.
I often check the moth cam when I'm getting weather here, and it's almost always the same weather.
Yeah, I saw old Mothy down there covered. That was pretty good.
Yeah. People were saying in the chat, dare you to go lick it.
I'm waiting for someone to do that.
Dusty, Jeff's son-in-law, actually did it one year.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't Steve. Just going to put that out there.
He might be watching this, by the way.
He probably is.
Well, I brought Ron on because I've been in contact with Ron and Joe from Wild and Weird. When I see something weird personally, I get in touch with them because they are the expert researchers. I'm just a storyteller. I think I got something weird. Don't you think, Ron?
I think you got something weird, but I want to touch that real quick.
Okay.
We don't consider ourselves experts. We've never considered ourselves experts. That's a cool title, but we don't consider ourselves experts.
Oh, well, to me, it feels like y'all are experts.
Experienced?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've seen quite a bit of stuff, but yeah, you got some weird stuff, bud. That's what it comes down to. And,
it's some weird stuff that's been going on, I guess, almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
It all started when my whole family got COVID right after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And that's the first time I saw something. I'll go ahead and get into the story.
Was that the first time you caught it, by the way?
What, COVID?
COVID, yeah.
No, I've had it.
You've had it before.
That was the third or fourth time.
But there was no issues before, nothing like this.
No.
Okay, cool. All right.
So, let's see. This all started. I'm looking at what I wrote down. So I originally wrote down that I had 3 UFO sightings, and then right before we went on for this, we had the 4th.
Yep.
Or I had the 4th, sorry.
That's right.
Well, this all started at 3 a.m. the morning of Black Friday. I was awoken by one of my kids, and like I mentioned, we were all sick. I got him back to sleep, and this time I was up in my bedroom. I think this was the only time I was up in my bedroom. I went to go lay back in bed, and I saw a strange green light out of the corner of my eyes as I was walking by the window. And my first thought was, oh no, not again. Because if you've been listening to me for a while, I think I've shared this with you guys, Ron. I had a sighting when I was I think it was elementary school. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, my first thought was, oh no, not again.
Yeah, it tends to follow a pattern. Yeah.
And I watched it for a while. It blinked on and off green. And eventually it fizzled out. I laid down, and then I was like, I'll never be able to sleep now. And the next thing I knew, I was asleep.
Yeah.
And I believe Ron and I were talking, and you mentioned there's been a lot of reports of these little spheres lately, and to let you know when I see it again. That struck me as odd because you said, let me know when you see it again. And I did. Let's see. I may have written down the date. Oh, a few weeks later on 12/22. This time we've got the flu. I'm up with one of the kids. I think it's my daughter this time. And I'm sitting in the living room directly below our bedroom. The windows are, right on top of each other almost. I look up and guess what I see again? It's blinking. Yep. And then it fizzles out. This whole time, there's no sound. It's stationary. And it just goes for a couple seconds. And then it's gone. I said something to Ron again. And let's see. Oh, yeah, I told you. Yeah, it did happen again. And I think you told me to try and record it next time. So it wasn't very long. I mean, it was the same day, actually.
Yeah, it was.
10 p.m. I'm up with the other kid. He's, we're all sick as heck. We're. I won't get into it, but we weren't able to keep food down, so we were up and watching TV. Had the lights off. I look up, and guess what I see again? The same object. And this time, I dove across the room, grabbed my phone, and recorded it. I'll show the original now. Let's see. Add to stage. Dude, there it is. Blink, 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 blink. Off. Blink, 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 blink. Off. Now it's gone. It just makes me nervous every time I see that. I don't know if you could tell. I'm just like, oh man, what am I in for here?
A little bit of anxiety there, right?
Yeah, definitely is. It's not something I want to happen. It's just happening. Yeah, that was the third sighting. I actually went on Wild and Weird. I haven't shared this out anywhere other than Wild and Weird at this point. I actually went on Wild and Weird, and Ron did a video analysis. Ron was able to grab that clip from Wild and Weird. He did lose the file he had due to, I think your desktop died on you.
Yeah, we had a catastrophic failure of the computer there last week, and I don't know if it's safe yet or not, but we managed to pull it off of. What you're going to see is it managed to be screen captured off of the actual replay of the live. So that's what you're going to be seeing.
Add that now. It's like a lime green light.
And what's really bad about this?
He said softball size, right?
Yep. It was not very big.
Well, I've got it. So want me to go ahead and cue it up? And
sure.
Okay, so here's what you got.
Dude, there it is. Blink, 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 blink. Off. Blink, 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 blink. Off.
This is where he's looking out at.
Just to kind of show from what I was seeing, I was sitting on my couch here. It was nighttime. And the object you could see from the tree line right there is up in here. So there's no houses or anything right at that spot. There is the one right there, but that's too low. It was up here.
Your camera actually captures out there
that you just don't see.
Yeah,
you can see my window frame.
Yeah, I can see your window frame now.
And this is an overlay you did.
Yeah.
Okay. I just figured I'd explain that.
This one actually is not the overlay. The overlay comes later. This is actually on that clip, the dark.
Oh,
clip
you lightened it up.
Yeah, so that's where we can actually see where you're.
You can see the okay.
Yeah, that's how I knew how to overlay it when you sent me that.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. Mhm.
okay. I'll go ahead and hit play.
Gosh,
The
this is
window.
giving me the chills, guys.
But it was white.
You can see that flash pattern. Look at that. And I thought, well, maybe it's something going, past some branches, but it's not, because this
No,
flash pattern.
it's not that.
No, that's a
It
very
kind of
quick.
looked like it was in front of the branches.
Yeah. So Jimmy, would that be about where the tree line should line up?
Yes.
If we could see through that.
Yes.
So
Oh
it
my
would
gosh.
be right
Oh,
in
it's
there,
Mark.
right?
It's Mark Eddy. He's over there. He's Facebook user.
Oh.
So we're moving a little bit, but it would be right in that same area. That's what you thought too. You said it would be right in there. So, yeah, that's yeah, it's right about in the same area you said it would be. So, I would think you're right. I don't know what that is, guys. I have no idea what that is.
Wow. It's just nuts.
And you can see where you're pointing. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I matched it up exactly to where they overlaid exactly about where you were pointing. So we got really, really close with that
Yeah.
reproduction. And yeah, man, there was something out there.
Like the whole time there, I was just holding my breath. I don't know. It just, I don't know. It's hard to explain what it does to me. And I think this is where you noticed that it's actually changing colors.
Yeah, it seems to have a color shift. And the bad thing was, you described it as a kind of a, what'd you say? It was like a
Lime green.
lime green color,
Yeah.
right? And you can kind of see that here. I managed to catch one frame where we can actually see the color, but it's shifting colors is what it seems to be doing.
That is wild.
And that shape change, it's not like morphing or anything. I know a lot of people see that and they're like, oh, it's changing shapes. It's not. That's just the camera trying to lock one to a point at light at night. It's extremely difficult, and it's blurring it out. That's what's happening. But what it doesn't blur out is the fact that there's a light shift. There's a spectrum shift. And you can see it going from that whitish color, and then it goes right into that almost a yellowy color, which is that lime green. The sensors on your phones, they're just not going to catch that kind of that's kind of saturation. It's not going to happen. But you definitely caught whatever it was. And the data sets that you verified here, it follows the pattern. A lot of these things have been seen usually around tree level to just a few feet off the ground. They're not very big. You said it was about softball size, something like that. It seemed to be, right? You said you thought it was in front of the tree line. Again, probably was. I mean, we don't know that. But it's following the pattern of all these other sightings. And I've seen some incredible photographic evidence that these things are out there. As to what they are, that remains to be seen. But, we're still working on gathering that data too. That's why I had you, get as much information as you could about this.
And I've been documenting it for one to share on here and two for you guys. I mean, at first I thought it was, at very first I thought it was Venus. I looked into it, and this is before I said something to you. I can't remember if I told you this, but I looked, and Venus wasn't visible at those times, I believe.
Yeah,
and
as you should do that every time.
I also checked Star Chart. I didn't see anything on the Star Chart app.
Yep.
Star Chart is an app you can get for Android and iOS. You can pull it up, and it uses, I think it's the axes in your phone or whatever it is in your phone to tell if you've got it flipped or not. But you basically look around and it identifies constellations, stars, planets. Nothing there visible. And also, to rule all that out, it's been at different times every time. At different times at night, the what you see in the sky shifts around. So,
yeah, it's not astronomical. And in my opinion, this is not astronomical. It is it's an artificial object of some sort. Don't know what sort. I know some people had claimed drones and other things, but here's the
Yeah.
thing. Drones typically have a red and a green light on them. All just about everything that flies has that on it. There's navigation lights, there's navigation strobes. That's normal. And even the cheapest little drone is going to have some kind of a red and green light on it. That's one source of light. That's one point of light. There's not multiple sources of light on that thing, as far as I can tell. The spectrum is what the spectrum is, and it's just not showing reds and greens. It's just showing this weird oversaturation of a yellow-green color. That's not normal.
And also, one of my neighbors does have a drone, one of the neighbor kids down the road, but it makes a lot of racket.
Mm-hmm.
There was no sound.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's the chance of them flying it at 3 o'clock in the morning?
This is a high school kid. So.
Exactly. It's probably not going to happen. But, you know, and the funny thing is, and you know, you don't even really know this, but I had you gather that data because it's following a pattern of sightings. We've had multiple sightings in the area now of people who have seen these, similar to what you're seeing. I can name 2 right now. I won't, but I can name 2 right now that have had almost identical sightings to what you're saying. And I will name one. We had an investigation recently, follow-up investigation back at one of our main research sites. And if you're following the page and you're following Wild and Weird Radio, the actual, or not Wild and Weird Radio, I'm sorry, Wild and Weird West Virginia has Wild and Weird Radio on it as well. It's a YouTube channel. We put up a lot of our data there. And we have documented some of these things out there. Personally documented some of these things out there. The ghost possum that, you know, Joe had chased. Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
But there's some really good stuff coming from one of our research sites. And I think that I've seen probably at this point some of the best photographic evidence of whatever these things are, the orbs or whatever you want to call them. And we did go in and we did do some investigations and we got some very interesting data. So we are very interested in pushing that a little bit further. And so if anyone has any of these sightings, please do reach out to Jimmy, reach out to us, because if we're close by, you know, we would love to get in there and actually go boots on ground and deploy some of this equipment and try to catch some data on this stuff. That's the only way we're going to figure it out, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, photographic evidence absolutely helps. Jimmy did it the right way. I don't know if you paid attention, but when you shot it, you did not zoom in all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I had a reference. We had your window as a reference. We had the skyline in the background. A lot of people will see something and their automatic thing is, I'm going to get as close to that as I possibly can. And that just blows it out into a pixelated mess. Yeah, pixelated mess. And people start seeing faces in it and pareidoia sets in.
Pareidoia is... Yeah.
But you did it the right way. That's what you want to do. Yeah, that's exactly.
I just knew from, you know, going around Appalachia and filming these places.
Yeah, man. That's how you do it. That's the right way.
And I think we had a couple people in the live chat that night say they saw something similar too. I don't know if they contacted you.
Yes. And it's constant now. I'm not even joking. It's just a constant thing. We've seen this since I want to say about 2 years back or so. It kind of started, and it started at Wineberry. Honestly, like that's where it kind of started from there, and it just snowballed. And then pretty much, you know, everybody out there, they're seeing these things.
Yep.
You know, and now we've seen it in high levels of government. They're seeing the same thing. So what's going on? You know, that's all in speculation land at this point. And we can speculate until we have a really awesome, you know, sci-fi novel. But without the data, that's all we've got, you know. I mean, there's some weird stuff going on. I will say that. Mm-hmm. But we need the actual data. And anytime that you can get what you did, or you can go out there and, you know, check the EM or the, you know, the actual radiation of the area, That all counts.
Well, I'll do what I can to try and gather more data
Absolutely.
if and when it shows up again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'll find, man, there's data there. I mean, you notice that. There's some interesting patterns to this. You noted yourself. These happened at night.
Mm-hmm.
They happened at a time when you were kind of stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pattern. That's a pattern to a lot of this so-called high strangeness. Is that it seems to be related to a stress factor, or it seems to be related to some form of emotional, you know, connotation. Wineberry is a great example of that. The first time that Beth was out there and had her first observation years ago of the Bigfoot or whatever's up there, she was sitting on a rock and she was distraught, crying, and
Mm-hmm.
and this thing shows up. That's a pattern. And then, of course, it led from just Bigfoots to other weird paranormal phenomena that's going on up there that we've been documenting now for 3 years, and I don't know what's going on. I mean, we're no closer now than we were then. We're just getting more and more weird data, and it's not just there. If that makes sense to you,
It does.
and that's why I had you go out and to do that.
One thing I forgot to mention was the fourth sighting,
Yeah,
Monday. I forgot to mention that. Let's see. I jotted down the time and the date. It was Sunday, January 14th, uh, 2024. I woke up on the couch at 5 a.m. This is me on the couch again. I believe that was the night. Something was going on with one of the kids. We didn't get a lot of sleep that night. I woke up. It was Sunday. I didn't have to work, so for some reason I was fully awake at 5 a.m. Just my work schedule. Used to getting up then. I opened my eyes. My face is facing the window, and I see it. I was like, there's no way that's it. There's no way. I'm half asleep. And this time, it starts moving. It's never done that before. And it moves like all over the place. And then it blinks out.
Yeah. What color was it this time?
I believe it was the same color.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a really light
Yeah.
colored lime green.
So, again, patterns. So let's look at what you just said. You literally woke up. First thing you saw was this thing.
Mm-hmm. I'd really started to forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may have been on my mind because I knew we were going to record this week.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have been. Again, you have a sighting where you're waking up around the same area. You woke up on the couch, right? Looking out the window. Did you hear the kids before that? Is that what woke you up?
No, I had one of them wasn't sleeping. I took him.
Mm-hmm.
Which one was it? Whatever. I took the one that wasn't sleeping downstairs, and we fell asleep on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up. I forget what woke me up. I'm looking straight out that window. I'm like coming to. I'm opening my eyes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, if it goes with the pattern, what you said, is kind of a stressful night. Both of them had been up for some reason. I can't remember why. And then there it goes.
Yeah, there seems to be a pattern, and it's not a constant thing, but we do run into this pattern from time to time that these things appear more at moments of high stress or some form of distraught,
Mm-hmm.
or just high emotion. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be a stressed out emotion. It's just that our brains are producing different, wavelengths at that point,
Mm-hmm.
So does that make you more susceptible to it? I don't know. I mean, that's all theory and conjecture, but I can definitely see that kind of stuff. And it's a very interesting pattern, if that's what it is.
Well, I think it was definitely an interesting story, and that's what we like to cover on here is these it's usually other people's stories, but this time it's mine. um
Well, I mean, again, bud, you did it right. You reached out. Um, you tried to find answers. And I'm glad you reached out to us because I can tell you right now, there are so many people who uh, I believe are leading people in other directions with this.
mhm.
They're leading them into either they don't know themselves or they're stuck into a belief system. And we're not. Anyone who knows, Wild and Weird, West Virginia, Wild and Weird Radio, all of us over at the High Strangers Collective, it's not about belief. It's about data. And we go out there and we look for that data, and wherever that data points is where we go. So beliefs are aside. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the actual hard data on this stuff. And the data just says there's something there. And if anyone caught any of the presentations last year that we were at,
Ooh, I did.
Yeah, you saw it then, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's this evidence of this A and B subject, right? That there's something out there that's kind of physical, and there's something out there that's kind of
Mhm.
not physical. And are they related? We don't know, but we know that they're there. We know that we're catching them on all sorts of instrumentation, sometimes at the same time as multiple validation points. And you mentioned yourself. You've had an experience years and years ago, right? I
Mhm.
mean, okay, a lot of people have. It's a fact, Jimmy. A lot of people have had these experiences. They just wipe them out of their memory and say, this is not possible. This has not happened. It was a weird dream.
Yeah.
Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of those aren't dreams. And if you want to look into them a little further, you can. Just understand that you may not like what you see. It's a very different path when you go down that road. And it forces you to think. But once you get through it all, you kind of realize, this is reality. These things are happening. It's not new. It's happened forever, pretty much as far as I'm concerned at this point.
Yeah.
This is part of human history. It's just the kind that we've pushed into the realm of legend and folklore and ghost stories. And, it's part of us. And we don't understand what it is. And we're trying to grasp that at this point and redefine it, I think, if that makes sense.
Does to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Jimmy, I don't know if you'll see any more, but if you do, please continue to document it, get it out there, let people see it. And like we always said, the idea is basically to try to normalize the paranormal in some way, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people, you're not crazy. That's the bottom line. For years, people were told they were crazy. They've had these experiences. They knew they had these experiences. And then they just shut up. They didn't tell everybody, I'm one of those people. I didn't talk for, 20 some years, I mean, it's just, you get to the point to where it's like, you're the normal one now. When you tell your story,
Yeah.
and someone comes up and is like, well, wait, I seen that. I'm like, yeah, that's validation.
It blows you away the first time you hear it. Oh, yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's validation, man. And I think that that's the point. I think that a lot of this has to do with validation. I've always said that. I believe that experiencers find experiencers. It's not by accident. I don't know what's causing it. I couldn't tell you. It's a belief system at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this whole thing of, like minds attract, vibrational kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. It could be any of it and none of it and all of it at once. We just don't know. And when we make these assumptions that we do know, that's when we get in trouble.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of that. So, keep an open mind, ask questions, find people who have had those experiences. I've had those experiences. Now Jimmy's had those experiences.
Yeah.
And there's more of us. And the louder we get, the better off we are, I think.
And I think people would be surprised to know how many people have had these experiences.
Oh, so many, man. So many.
And then
So many.
sometimes you'll find out it's somebody you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, they don't talk about it except for to their closest family,
Mm-hmm.
That's like me. I didn't say anything. I mean, it's just me and my wife. That's it. We knew. That's all. And, I think it was Linda, who actually got me to actually start talking about the whole Mothman type experience thing, whatever that was, that ended up on what was it? Seth's film, Small Town Monsters. You know,
Oh,
yeah, that was Linda. She came to our table, and she picked up one of the pictures of the Mothman that I had painted, and she said, "You've seen it." And I'm like, "I saw something once. I mean, I don't know what it was." And we just had this conversation, and she's like, describes this thing and it moved,
mm-hmm.
and I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, yeah." And she's like, "Oh, you knew it." I'm like, "No, I didn't." So here's dummy me, you know. And remember, I'm at this point, I've researched stuff, right? I mean, at this point, I'd had Ghost Watch RIP. You know, that was my research, investigation of paranormal. That was my first actual group that went out and did things. And I had conducted my own research back in the day. That's what started this whole mess, was the UFO sighting, which led to the psychic, you know, phenomena, out of body experiences, creating, you know, my own little versions of Stargate, basically, and didn't know what I was doing, I guess, apparently, which is just a weird story on its own. But, you know, I never really considered that was anything to do with Mothman. That's the funniest part, man. It was just a ghost story that, you know, I grew up with. My mom, they had seen something similar to that. And, you know, years and years and years earlier, they had seen something similar to that. And here we are experiencing the same thing. And it's like, that's just a ghost. That's, you know, because that's okay. I can understand ghosts. That's cool. You know, it's a weird ripple in space time or something, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. But, you know, you tell me it's Mothman at that time. I'm like, well, Mothman happened in 1966 and 67, and that was it. That's what I thought. Well, it didn't have red eyes. It couldn't be Mothman, but you know, they don't always have red eyes. And
Mm-hmm.
like, well, now, so that shifted my way of thinking, you know? So, yeah, you got to really start looking at this stuff in a different way. And, you know, and then there's just evidence after evidence that says that these things do kind of occur and people see them more than once. So that might be
Definitely more than once.
right. That might be reassuring to you, or it might not be, Jimmy. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't want to see it again.
You
I know
don't want
most
to see it
people would
again.
want to. I don't.
Do you? Okay. Can I ask a question? Are we okay
Sure.
to do that? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. When you told me, you said, you know, it gives you a weird feeling when you look
Yeah.
at that, right? Can you describe in one word, just in one word, can you describe that feeling?
Anxiety.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember something, or do you think you remember something, or you just don't want to? Is that kind of,
I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
the feeling is I don't want to think about it and I don't
Gotcha.
want to look at it.
I don't want to think about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I needed to know. If you want to talk about that at some point in the future, we will, and it won't be on camera.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Ron, thank you for coming on for this one.
More than welcome, man.
I hope you guys like this little change of pace. I mean, I guess it is my story. It's a little bit different than what we usually do, but hope you all like it. And definitely check out Wild and Weird. They're on pretty much every podcast platform. I actually listen to the podcast, but they've got way more on their YouTube channel that I'll link in the description below. But thanks again, Ron.
Thank you.
Awesome having you on. We'll have to do this. Maybe you can come on and tell one of your stories one day for one of them. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm okay with that. I mean, like I said, it's taken years to get to that point, but you know, I'm there, so we're good with some of it.
Okay, cool. All right, folks, we'll catch you in the next one.